Be informed. Be guided. Be inspired. The Chronicles of an Outstanding and Inspiring Leaders. The Leader on a Spotlight. Inspirational Thoughts about Success. The Mini Devotional for Leaders. Educational Updates. Review Sessions for Principals Swain and EMT. And Leadership Principles and many other segments.
Isang mapagpalang araw sa inyong lahat. A blessed day to all of you, most especially to my 1,800 plus subscribers and to my avid listeners and viewers to this National Qualifying Examination for School Heads Review or the Principal's Test 2021. For this episode, we will discuss DepEd Order No. 31, Series of 2020, or about the Interim Guidelines for Assessment and Grading in light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. Ito po ang inyong lingkod, Hector Macalalag, the Assistant Schools Division Superintendent. This DepEd Order is grounded on the following principles. Assessment should be holistic and authentic in capturing the attainment of the most essential learning competencies o yung tinatawag nating MELC. Siya po ang sinusunod natin ngayon. Kasi naman hindi pwede na yung lahat ng competencies that is found in noong nag-face-to-face pa tayo ay ating madiscuss lahat. Kaya mayroon tayong tinatawag na most essential learning competencies. Assessment, letter B, is integral for understanding student learning and development. Siya po ang integral component sa ating pag-understand kung ano na ang learning at development ng ating mga mag-aaral mula sa kindergarten hanggang sa senior high school. Variety of assessment strategies is necessary, with formative assessment taking priority to inform teaching and promote growth and mastery. So, kailangan talaga mayroon tayong iba't ibang assessment strategies. Siya po ay necessary para makita natin ang pag-promote ng growth and mastery sa ating mga estudyante o mag-aaral. Letter D, assessment and feedback should be a shared responsibility among teachers, learners, and their families. Kaya nga, malaki din ang involvement ng ating mga parents kasi po sila po ang nag-aalalay sa ating mga learners while they are in the modular printed modality or in any other modality. Kasi ang mga parents naman talaga ang mga support system natin ngayon. Kasi nga ang teachers hindi naman makakandak ng face-to-face classes. So nakasalalay ngayon ang support system aside from the learners are their families. Assessment and grading should have a positive impact on learning. Dapat positive ang impact niya sa learning ng isang mag-aaral. Hindi siya maging isang burden, kundi, take note ang sinabi niya, it should have a positive impact on learning. This policy shall be implemented in all public elementary and secondary schools nationwide for this school year 2020 to 2021, while DepEd Order No. 8 Series of 2015 entitled Policy Guidelines on Classroom Assessment for the K-12 Basic Education Program is still in effect provisions inconsistent with these new guidelines are suspended for this school year. So, in light of the pandemic na-experience natin ngayon, ito ang ginagamit natin na DepEd orders. Kaya lang kung yung DepEd Order number 8 ay ginagamit pa rin natin. So, kung may inconsistent with these new guidelines, itong DepEd order na ito, they are suspended for this school year 2020-2021. So, ibig sabihin talagang itong DepEd Order 31, Series of 2020, ay siya munang nating gagamitin para sa taon na ito. Private schools, technical and vocational institutions, and higher education institutions, including state and local universities and colleges offering the K-12 basic education program, are encouraged to implement these interim policy guidelines as well. Private schools and institutions are permitted to modify these policy guidelines according to their philosophy, vision, mission, with the approval of the respective DepEd Regional Office. So, pag mag-implement ang private school ng kanilang own guidelines or i-modify nila itong policy na ito that will suit their vision, philosophy, mission, kailangan po nilang mag-seek ng approval from the DepEd Regional Office of which they belong. So, hindi pwedeng basta-basta na lang mag-modify without the approval of the DepEd Regional Office kung saan sila nakasituate yung mga respective private schools. Let us now proceed with the definition of terms. Ang unang-unang define dito is the classroom assessment. It is an ongoing process of identifying, gathering, organizing, and interpreting quantitative and qualitative information about what learners know and can do. So, iyan po ang definition ng ating learners assessment. Take note of the keywords: identifying, gathering, organizing, and interpreting quantitative and qualitative information about sa ating mga learners. Then, pangalawa is ang formative assessment. Formative assessment is a process that involves teachers using evidence about what learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. This process, through the teacher's immediate feedback, enables students to take responsibility for their own learning and identify areas where they can do well and where they need help. So, kadalasan, ang formative assessment ay nagme-measure lamang yan kung ang isang competency ay kailangan ba ng reteaching, at usually, hindi naman ito nire-record ng mga teachers. Ito ay nagme-measure lamang kung pwede na ba mag-proceed, no? This also enables students to take responsibilities for their own learning and identify areas we can do well and where they need help. Kung saan sila magaling at kung saan sila nangangailangan ng tulong. Now, let us now proceed with summative assessment. Summative assessment is an assessment that is usually administered towards the end of a learning period to measure the extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies, the results of which are recorded and are used to report the learner's achievement. So talaga ito, this is administered towards the end of the learning period para ma-measure an extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies. Usually, these are recorded and this is used to report the learner's achievement. So, nire-record talaga ito contrary to the formative assessment na nime-measure lang ang level ng isang bata, kung saan siya magaling at kung saan siya nag-needs ng improvement. While this summative assessment are recorded and is being used as a basis kung ano ang achievement ng isang learner. Grading is the way of reporting assessment data by assigning a value to the results as a record of students' ability, achievement, or progress. This is according to the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development 2020. So, grading, matapos ng recording ng summative test and other components, this is the assessment data by assigning a value to the results of a record of a student's ability and achievement. So, kaya nga, may mga grades tayong may numerical value like 95, 98, 96, 97, and so on. So, siya po ang nagkakategorize ng ability, achievement, or progress ng isang mag-aaral. So, kaya nga, importante din ito sa part ng assessment. Kasi siya nag-determine kung sino yung with highest honors, with high honors, or with honors. So, siya po ang component na yan. Procedures. Distance learning poses challenges for teachers and learners in the conduct of assessment, including limitations on giving feedback and the need to account for different contexts in designing, implementing, and grading assessment tasks. So, kasi ngayon, because of the pandemic, talagang nagkaroon tayo ng distance learning. So, mayroon itong challenge lahat sa mga, hindi lamang sa mga teachers, pati na din sa learners kasi sa pag-conduct ng assessment. At may limitation din tayo sa pag-give ng feedback kasi nga, wala naman tayong face-to-face learning. So, there's a need to account for different contexts on this grading assessment task. To address these challenges, learners, teachers, and parents or guardians each have significant roles and responsibilities. So let us now start with the roles and responsibilities of the teachers. For this school year, particular focus will be given to the following. Letter A, or number 1, designing the assessment to allow for flexibility in multiple modalities. So, kailangan mag-design ng assessment such that there is flexibility on the different modalities that we are implementing. Kasi naman, mayroon talagang mga iba't ibang modalities. Halimbawa, yung modular modality, pwede siyang printed, pwede din siyang digital. So, dapat may mga corresponding assessment strategies ka na gagamitin. Yung RBI, pwede rin. Dapat may assessment strategies kang gagawin. As well as those who are conducting classes online. So, dapat yung strategies mo akma sa modalities that being used by the learners. So, dapat alam ng teacher kung paano maging flexible ang assessment in order to match it with the modalities that is being used by the learners. So, such that there is justice and there is consideration in the giving of grades. Communicating to learners and parents or guardians the design and standards for grading assessment. So, mayroon naman tayong standards na ipa-follow. Dapat you communicate that. Dapat alam nila, ganito pala, i-grade ang anak ko. Ganito pala ang assessment and the design and the standards for this assessment. Dapat alam ng mga magulang ang ginagamit nating standards for grading the assessment that is being used. And then, setting up mechanisms to monitor and record progress remotely. Kasi nga mga bata nasa bahay lang nila. So, remote ang inyong classes. So, there is or there should be a mechanism to monitor and record progress regarding this one. So, crucial din ang pag-monitor ng progress at pag-establish ng mechanism ng isang teacher. Giving timely, constructive, and relevant feedback sa atin, no? So, dapat mayroon tayong monitoring and evaluation. There's a constant reflection. What are those things that we need to improve? Kasi naman, ang feedbacks are the breakfast of the champions. So, kailangan talaga natin ang feedback so that our system and mechanism will really be improved. Then, the fifth one is facilitating remediations for learners who need further guidance. So, hindi maiwasan sa face-to-face nga, maraming learners na nag-need ng remediation na nandyan mismo sa harapan ang teacher. Ngayon pa kaya na kailangan na wala ang teachers or ang teacher ng face-to-face. Kaya naman, mayroong remediation. Pwede siya online, pwedeng home visit, and any other modalities. Pwede ding cellphone, pwedeng radio. So there are so many ways in order to address the remediation needs of our learners. Huwag nating sabihin na hindi na kailangan ng remediation kasi ang situation na ito ay special and this is challenging and this is new at hindi natin inakala na mangyayari ito. That's why we really need to conduct remediation sa ating mga respective learners so that learning will be facilitated and effective for all of them. Take note of that. Learners are expected to be proactive in updating their teacher of their situation, progress, and challenges encountered. Pero dapat yan ang ideal learner. Pero alam naman natin in reality, marami talagang learners ang hindi masyadong nakikialam sa kanilang pag-aaral. Hindi sila proactive. Pero marami rin namang learners na proactive. So dapat talaga i-explain ng mga teachers na dapat proactive kayong lahat. Then the parents and guardians, DepEd aims to develop independent learners who can study and work on the assessment on their own. So dapat talaga sa formative assessment, kaya yung answer key nandyan lang, makita kaagad nila sa kanilang formative assessment. Kasi hindi naman kadalasan graded yon. So dapat alam nila ang kanilang progress and that is the ultimate goal na independent learners who can study and work assessment on their own. Kaya lang, it is also a fact na sa face-to-face nga, marami ang hindi independent learners. Ngayon pa kaya, so kailangan talaga ang constant partnership and follow-up with our parents and guardians kasi sila yung window natin and arms towards our learners in this time of pandemic. Teachers need to be creative and flexible in assessing student learning while still adhering to the principles of quality assessment practice. It should be aligned with the most essential learning competencies. So, yung mga flexible and creative assessment should align with the most essential learning competencies. And it should be reliable, valid, and transparent. And of course, it should be fair, inclusive, and equitable. May nakikita ako yung iba, yung mga performance tasks nila, nire-record sa cellphone, sinisend sa teacher. So there is an ample time for them to prepare. Yung mga anak ko, nire-record nilang kanilang mga sayaw, kanilang mga kanta, tapos sinisend sa messenger o sa email ng teacher. So ganyan kailangan flexible kasi maalangan namang i-ano mo yan lahat, i-home visit ng marami kang mga learners. Hindi din pwede, limited din ang home visit kasi we are on the pandemic. Maaaring maging endangered yung mga bata or ikaw. So dapat there are more creative ways and flexible ways in order to handle this assessment for students learning or learners learning. So, while still adhering to the principles of quality assessment practice, let us not discount that there should be quality in assessment. So take note of that. It should be practical and manageable for both learners and teachers. So, it should be smart, no? Manageable and practical. Kailangan at achievable yan. Hindi yung puro, kasi baka nanaginip ka ng gising, may pinapagawa ka o yung assessment mo, very impossible to be achieved. It should be practical and manageable. Then, it should give learners a range of ways to demonstrate their learning. So, there should be an opportunity for learners to demonstrate their learning and to provide timely and accurate information as basis for feedback. Kaya yung ibang teachers, di ba, pag nag-home visit sila or nagsosurvey sila, ano yung mga kumusta na, kinukumusta natin yung mga learners, kinukumusta natin yung mga parents, di ba? O ano na, kumusta na ang pag-answer nyo ng module, okay lang ba? So yung iba nagbibigay ng feedback, ma'am, napakahirap. O yung parents, yung iba nagsasabi, ma'am, hindi namin ma-assist yung mga bata namin kasi nagtatrabaho rin kami. So, there are those kinds of feedback and the teachers should have a variety of solutions in order to address those challenges. Resilient naman tayo mga gurong Pilipino kaya alam na alam natin kung paano i-address yung mga concerns or feedback na darating sa atin. Kaya kailangan talaga we should gather accurate information as a basis for our feedback. Kaya kailangan talaga yan. In order to inform, teaching, and promote growth and mastery, formative assessment strategies should, ito po, establish clear learning targets and success criteria, elicit useful evidence of learning, and then provide timely and effective feedback, and engage learners in assessing and improving each other's work. So, dapat establish yung learning targets and success criteria. Kasi pag hindi mo ma-establish yan, hindi mo ma-achieve yan. Kasi wala kang clear learning targets at success criteria. And you should elicit useful evidence of learning, yung sinabi ko kanina, timely and effective feedback, and then engage learners in assessing and improving each other's work. There are many ways to do it. And increase ownership of their own learning. Adapted from William and Leahy, 2015. Written works and performance tasks should be administered to assess the content and performance standards that describe the knowledge, abilities, and skills that learners are expected to demonstrate. These tasks could be designed to include the following. Letter A. Students' learning portfolio that documents all the evidence of learning within the grading period, including self-reflections, self-evaluations of performance tasks, guided by rubrics, and self-selected best outputs and learning modules. Yung iba nga nagdi-display sila ng mga outputs ng mga bata at saka yung mga portfolio at ginigrade nila kung sino yung mga best, sinishare nila sa Facebook. I hope nakita nyo yon. Maraming mga ganun na mga teachers, lalong-lalo na yung mga product nila, mga performance tasks na may pinapagawa, dinodocument nila, nilalagyan nila ng learning portfolio. Nandun lahat ng kanilang output. So, magaling talaga. One day, sasabihin ng mga bata na ito, pag nakikita nilang portfolio na, oh, itong time na ito, pandemic ito, pandamay ito. Kasi nasa bahay lang kami palagi at marami kaming ginagawa. At kailangan naming i-accomplish ang mga bagay na ito. So, it is a sort of remembrance din kung gaano ang performance at mga task nila na sinasubmit sa mga teachers. A minimum of 4 written works and 4 performance tasks within the quarter, preferably 1 in 2 weeks, integrating 2 or more competencies. So, yung minimum niya, no? Dapat at least 4 written works and 4 performance tasks within the quarter, preferably in 1 or 2 weeks, integrating more competencies. Ito po ang sample ng weight, or ito po ang table 1, hindi ito sample, no? Ito ang weight distribution of the summative assessment components per learning areas for grades 1 to 10. Ito lahat. So sa assessment components, mayroon tayong dalawang components. Ito ay yung written works at performance test. So sa language, sa araling panlipunan at edukasyon sa pagpapakatao, yung languages, English and Filipino, ang written works niya ay 40% at ang performance task niya ay 60%. The total is 100%. Sa science and math, the written works is 50%, the performance task is 50%, the total is 100%. For MAPE, EPP, and TLE, the written works is 30% and the performance task is 70%. So take note sa MAPE, EPP, and TLE sa huling group, mas malaki talaga ng bonggang-bongga ang performance task kasi 70% siya. 30% lang yung performance or written works. So kumpara sa iba na yung sa science and math 50-50 sila at yung sa language AP at ESP 40-60. Yung sa MAPE, EPP at TLE baliktad, mas malaki ang performance task ng malaki, no? So yan po ang difference ng grade 1 to 10 na weight distribution of summative assessment. The weight, this is the table 2. This is the weight distribution of the summative assessment components for senior high school. So, sa ating components, assessment components, mayroon pa rin tayong written works and performance test. And then for 4 subjects, kasi iba't iba to, the written work should be 40%. The performance task is 60%. And then for academic track, all other subjects is 40%. And the performance task is 60%. And then for work immersion, research, business enterprise, simulation, exhibit, performance, the written work is 50% and the performance task is 50%. And then for the technical, vocational, and livelihood or TVL, sports, arts, and design tracks, all other subjects, and the work immersion research, exhibit, performance, they're all uniform with written works as 30% and the performance task which is 70%. This is table 3, the sample computation of written works and performance tasks in languages AP, ESP for grades 1 to 10 and senior high school subjects. So halimbawa, yung highest possible score, itong nasa below written works, yung 1, 2, 3, 4, yung assessment 1 to 4. Yung highest possible score niya ay 20, 25, 20, 20. So the total is 85. And so sa learner A, mayroon siyang score na 18 out of 20, 22 out of 25, 20 out of 20, 17 out of 20. So the total is 77 out of 85 if you divide that one. The result is 91 over 100. And the weight average, kasi 40% siya, multiply mo ng 40%, so that is 36.40. Kung ang kanyang performance task ay may highest possible na score na 15, 15 sa pangalawa, 25 sa pangatlo, and then 20 sa pang-apat, at ang total performance task niya ay 75. So, ang kuha niya ay sa unang task is 12 over 15, sa pangalawa ay 13 over 15, sa pangatlo ay 19 over 25, sa pang-apat ay 15 over 20. Ang total performance task niya ay 56 over 75. So the percentage score of this is 75 over 100. And so the weight average is 45%. So, ang kuha niya lahat, ng initial grade niya ay 81.40. I-add mo lang yung 36.40 at saka 45. At ang total grade niya based on the quarterly grade doon sa table ay 88%. Yun yung quarterly grade niya. So, the sample competition of written works and performance tasks in math, science, for grades 1 to 10. So, the highest possible score for the written works are 20, 25, 20, and 20. So, the scores of learner A are 18 over 20, 22 over 25, 20 over 20, 17 over 20, 77 over 85 ang total. So the total percentage score is 91 and the weight average is 45%. Sa kanyang performance task ay 12 over 15, 13 over 15, 19 over 25, 15 over 20, so the total is 56 over 75. So the percentage score is 75 and the weight average is 37.5%. The initial grade is 83 and the quarterly grade is 89. Sample computation of written works and performance tasks in mapping, EPP, TLE for grades 1 to 10. So, sa learner A, sa written works, we have 18 over 20, 22 over 25, 20 over 20, 17 over 20, 77 over 85, at 91 over 100. So, yung total score niya, or weight average niya, ay 27.3 over 30. So, sa performance task, ay 12 over 15, 13 over 15, 19 over 25, 15 over 20, and the total is 56 over 75, and the score is, the overall score is 75 over 100, and the weight average is 52.5 over 70, and that is 79.8, the initial grade, and the quarterly grade is 87%. Baka po nagtataka kayo kung bakit yung may initial grade saka yung quarterly grade. Kasi yung sa DepEd Order No. 8, Series of 2015, mayroon tayo yung tinatawag na transmutation table. Yung ating initial grade ay hinahanap natin doon at mayroon tayong final grade. So, hindi ibig sabihin kung ano yung initial grade siya na talaga. Mayroon tayong transmutation table that is found on DepEd Order No. 8, Series of 2015. So, yan po ang table 5 natin. So, the monitoring and evaluation for this, the school heads shall be primarily responsible for supervising the implementation of this policy in their respective schools, ensuring that the provisions are communicated to all concerned stakeholders in the community. Of course, kasi nasa last phase na tayo ng ating pag-aaral sa school year 2020 to 2021, I assume na na-orient na niyo lahat ang inyong mga stakeholders as well as teachers on this DepEd Order No. 31 Series of 2020. So, of course naman, every division nag-conduct yan ng orientation sa principals and principals to teachers and teachers to our respective stakeholders. The regional and schools division offices shall jointly monitor the compliance of schools with these guidelines, and then the Curriculum and Learning Management Division and Curriculum Implementation Division shall diligently collaborate with each other in ensuring that the provisions of this policy are complied with. So, mag-go hand in hand, no? At the school level, the implementation of this policy shall be monitored and evaluated at least once every quarter by the school heads. So, dapat yung school head magkakaroon ng evaluation at least once every quarter. Pag sinabing at least, pwedeng once or more every quarter. The school head shall prepare a quarterly report that includes the challenges and issues encountered throughout the policy implementation. The said report shall be submitted to the school's division office for collation and analysis. The SDOs will then prepare a biannual analysis report for submission to the regional office. So it is the responsibility of the school head to have this monitoring and evaluation at least once every quarter, and the school head shall prepare quarterly report including the issues and challenges encountered the policy implementation, and of course our partial solution to those issues and challenges. Ganun naman talaga, di ba? If we have challenges and issues, we have our partial solution. And this solution shall be concord with the division authorities or the regional authorities or the central office authorities kung tama ba. The said report shall be submitted for collation and analysis. O di ba? Hindi naman masyadong complicated ng ating interim guidelines in light of this pandemic. I hope that everybody is informed of this kasi alam ko naman informed na kayo. Nire-review lang natin kasi maaaring isa to sa magiging questions ng principal's test for the inyong mga coming pa na principal's test. I hope that you learn a lot. Thank you for watching. Watch out for new episodes at Hector Macalalag Leadership Channel. I hope that you learned a lot from this encounter, and this DepEd order is very crucial also in line with the implementation of the Learning Continuity Plan. Dahil nasa pandemic po tayo ngayon, hindi po natin pwedeng gamitin yung DepEd Order No. 8 Series of 2015 natin because there are things that are not anymore essential as of this time. Kaya nga, mayroon tayong most essential learning competencies. Ito po ang inyong lingkod, si Hector Macalalag. Please subscribe to my Hector Macalalag Leadership Channel at sana po yung mga advertisement natin, bigyan na po natin pagkakataon na hindi ma-skip agad kasi doon naman tayo talaga nagkakaroon ng remuneration doon sa mga ads natin. So I hope na hindi nyo muna i-skip yung ads paminsan-minsan. Pero kung naiinip na kayo, you can do so. Kayo naman ang boss sa kung nanonood kayo. Maraming salamat po. God bless you sa inyong lahat.